Dr. Palitha Kohona is our guest, sharing his point of view. Point of View is a program that brings to you the unbiased, uncut point of view on Sri Lanka. We are with the Ambassador, Dr. Palitha Kohona, Permanent Representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations in New York. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Kohona.
It's my pleasure, indeed.
Dr. Kohona, after the recent parliamentary elections, President Mahinda Rajapaksa promised to bring peace and prosperity to Sri Lanka. Do you have any ideas how he plans to deliver his promise?
Of course. The President has consistently said for the last few years that he will bring peace to Sri Lanka, that he will end terrorism in Sri Lanka. This he did. He delivered on that promise. Now he has promised prosperity to the country. He has said that he will make Sri Lanka another Singapore. And I'm sure he will achieve that goal also. Let me give you some of the facts about Sri Lanka at the moment. The stock market over the last 12 months has almost doubled in value. The foreign direct investment has maintained its level, and we expect it to go up further. Tourism, which now is around 500,000, is expected to go up to about 2.5 million per year. All this would mean new activity, new economic activity, more jobs, and of course, resulting prosperity for the people. As you know, Sri Lanka quietly moved from being a developing country into a middle-income country earlier this year. Much of that prosperity came from the areas under government control, the areas which had been under government control for the last 25 years. Now we have the opportunity to bring the North and the East into the mainstream. And when these two areas also join the mainstream, there's no doubt in my mind that the economic boom that has benefited the rest of the country will also benefit the North and the East.
Dr. Kohona, who hails from Matale, an old boy at St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, received his LLB honours at the University of Sri Lanka, LLM from the Australian National University on International Trade Law, and a doctorate from Cambridge University in the United Kingdom. He is also an attorney at law in Sri Lanka. Could you share with us the government plans not only to expedite the resettlement, but to continue to offer them assistance to get their lives stable in their new resettlement?
This movement back to their homes is being accompanied by a range of activities that will make their lives better. The roads have been reconstructed. I've been told this morning that now it's possible for vehicular traffic to go along the A9 all the way to Jaffna. Vehicular traffic has been restored quite adequately. Most of the other roads are being built also. The Giant's Tank, which is the major irrigation work, which goes back 1,500 years, but which is in Mana, has been almost fully restored. So has the Irana Madu tank. The smaller tanks are gradually being restored, remembering that these were all destroyed during the time of the LTT, because the LTT cut deep defensive ditches and built earthen bunds, earthen defensive works. And of course, in rice fields, as you know, need stagnant water. When you dig a ditch across the rice fields become totally useless. You cannot cultivate anymore. These all have to be restored, and the government has set about doing this. People who have gone back to their villages are being given an initial startup sum of 250,000 rupees to rebuild their lives, resume their lives. They're also given 6 months of dry rations so that they can feed themselves for the 6 months period until such time that they can get some agriculture going. The electricity is being connected rapidly. There were some villages which never had electricity, but which are now being connected to the national grid Wakare, for example, in the eastern province, never had electricity, but today it is fully connected to the national grid. The fishing industry has been restored almost fully in the north and the east. Fishermen are allowed to go out. There are no restrictions. And the result is that the price of fish in the Colombo market has dropped dramatically because the fish from the north and the east is now reaching a large market, the market in Colombo, which means additional income for the fishermen of those areas.
Dr. Kohona was the Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Sri Lanka from 2006 to 2009. He also served as the Secretary General of the Government Peace Secretariat 2006, during which time he participated in 2 rounds of peace negotiations with the LTTE in Geneva and led the delegation to Oslo as well.
There are allegations about war crimes against Sri Lankan leaders. How would you respond to these allegations?
I think it's very unfortunate that these allegations continue to be bandied around. If you recall that until the security forces went up to Paranthan, there were hardly any allegations of abuses, whether they be abuses of human rights or abuses of humanitarian standards or the rules of war. When the security forces captured Paranthan and defeat began to loom large in the eyes of the LTT and its overseas propaganda machine, all of a sudden war crimes became an issue. And to this day, there remain allegations. There are no witnesses, as far as we know, who have witnessed these war crimes. There is not an iota of evidence which can be substantiated. But the allegations, the suggestions, the innuendos continue to flow. So therefore, I think it's very unfortunate that people continue to repeat these things, because unless you can substantiate what you're alleging, it is unfair to continue to do that. In our view, these remain allegations. They remain in the realm of innuendo. They remain in the area of suggestion. We have nothing, at least, I was in Sri Lanka until about 7 months ago. I've been overseas since then in New York. I have not come across anything that could stand up any scrutiny, whether in a court of law or elsewhere. Now, having said that, I think Sri Lanka is being very unfairly treated by the people who make these allegations. We succeeded in defeating one of the worst terrorist groups in the world. The FBI described it as the most ruthless terrorist organization, even worse than the Al-Qaeda. This was a group that recruited over 5,000 children and threw them out as cannon fodder in a struggle that they have lost. They were the ones who went around bombing civilians, Christmas shoppers, people going to temples, devotees at shrines, Muslim worshippers in their mosques, and simple villagers in their villages, like at Dollar Farm. They blasted the most sacred temple in the country, the Temple of the Tooth in Kandy, and then they massacred over 150 devotees at the Bodhi tree in Anuradhapura. And we defeated this group. And today, we get allegations of war crimes. There are parallels around the world. Every time Al-Qaeda is dealt with in some way or other, it is not Al-Qaeda that is put on the dock, but it's the people who deal with Al-Qaeda. The parallel is quite obvious. And at the same time, we see daily or weekly reports of buses being strafed or wedding parties being bombed in the wider region of which Sri Lanka is a part. But who gets accused of war crime? Sri Lanka. I think, if nothing else, it's unfair. People who make these allegations must place the evidence on the table, or they must shut up.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. I enjoyed that.
That concludes the point of view. Presentation of Boston Lanka. Goodbye.